Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is Tracey Ehman with the WSABookstore. And today I'm pleased to have Rachell Kitchen join me. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Tracey. Great to be here.
So, Rachell's book is called Doubt Your Doubts: How to Transform Negative Self-Talk, Take Action, and Confidently Create Your Dream Life. And it is now in the WSABookstore. I'm really excited about your book, and I would love for you to share a little bit about your background with us.
Yes, I am a life transformation and transition coach. And in my previous life, as I say, I used to be an industrial engineer. So I went from industrial engineer, I fell into an engineering consulting business, and then was a stay-at-home mom, and then needed to go back into the workforce and decided I don't want to go back into engineering. I didn't enjoy it when I was doing it, and figured out through my journey that, oh my goodness, I can do what I kind of do naturally, is help other people, and I can get paid to do that. And so that's how I found coaching. And I love what I do, helping women overcome self-doubt and really tap into their strength and their values so that they can live their best lives.
So, you ended up doing something that you absolutely loved by going through something that you didn't absolutely love, right? I guess you're teaching other people how to make that transition.
Absolutely. And that is something that I talk about in Doubt Your Doubts, some of the big transitions that I had. And I'll give you the Cliff Note version. Like I said, I was working in engineering. I did that for over 10 years. And then my youngest was born early, prematurely, 24 weeks. And, she was sick. And so I needed to still have a job. So I again fell into the consulting business. And fast forwarding, there was what I call my concentrated chaos years, where my 28-year marriage was falling apart. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. My dad had been murdered in the streets of Chicago, so I was dealing with that. I had a few breast cancer scares of my own, and I was just a mess, and I needed to figure it out, and what was the next chapter going to be. And that's what some of the book is about, along with other women's story and their journeys on how they overcame the self-doubt in their lives to go on and create their dream lives.
Wow, you've definitely gone through a lot. And I know that, many of our listeners have gone through a lot as well. And this will really speak to them. The I love the title, like Doubt Your Doubts. Like that. How did that come to, like, where did you come up with that wording?
Well, because I have struggled with the menace in my mind, which I call a gremlin, my entire life. And I tell a story in the book where I was first became aware of what was happening. When I was a little girl, I used to be able to count by fives. And one day I messed up, and that got me a paddling in front of the class. And it was that one event that started the perfectionism, compare-itis syndrome. And there were other things that happened in my life that just reinforced those negative self-talk messages. And so many other women find themselves in that position, especially the high achievers. We want to one up ourselves every time, right? And so it was just my own experiences, seeing my young adult daughter go through it, and the women that I coach, that they wanted to make a change, they wanted to do something different. And it was that common theme of doubting themselves that kept coming up. And I would always say, let's figure out how you can doubt those doubts.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very powerful. That perfectionism, it's like, we gotta stop being those perfectionists, because it
Yeah.
really is impossible to be perfect anyway. And really, like, that's boring,
It's
right?
unachievable for one. And then, imposter syndrome, thinking that, we're going to be found out at any minute. And it's
Yeah.
those types of things that a lot of us high achieving women um, struggle with, and sometimes get to the point where we are held back, stopped, or stalled, get overwhelmed and feeling anxious and just not even knowing how to get unstuck.
This is so relatable. So, you've gone through this process, and you could see with your clients, with your daughter, just, how much this impacts so many of our lives. So why did you decide to put it in a book?
You know, I'm going to date myself here a little bit. I was the little girl who would write stories and illustrate them on loose leaf paper. And you remember those like brass brads where you could stick it in a hole and, you know, put papers together. And so I would make
Yeah.
little books out of these stories. So I always knew I wanted to write a book. And in fact, I thought it was going to be another book project that I'm passionate about that I'm still going to write. But I always wanted to write a book. And so in 2017, I had the opportunity to be a contributor in hashtag Sisterhood Connection, a woman of a year of empowerment. Then in 2018, I co-authored another book, Women Thriving Fearlessly in Business. And then in 2019, I co-authored another book that ended up being an international bestseller, The One Thing Every Mom Needs to Know. And I was the featured expert on vision boards. And while those projects were great, I was proud of them. I loved the people that I worked with and I met. It never quite scratched that itch that I had as the little girl putting the loose leaf stories together with the brass brads. And I knew I wanted my name on the cover of a book. And because of COVID and the people that I was seeing that were coming to me wanting to pivot in their lives, and every time it was that doubt, that perfectionism, that imposter syndrome, that compare-itis that kept coming up, I thought, now is the time to write this book.
Yeah, the timing couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's the thing too, right? Even with doubt your doubts, um, the time is going to be right. And sometimes you don't know when that is going to happen. So don't doubt that
Yeah.
it will happen when it's supposed to. But working with you can help people begin to, you know, share their story, step into who they really are authentically, and take that next action in their lives. Like, I love that the end of your title is like, create your dream life. We all want to create our dream life.
Yeah. And the another premise in the book, we often hear, oh, make friends with your, you know, inner critic, make friends with that menace of your mind. And like, it's a switch that you can flip off and never be bothered with it again. Well, in fact, there's research in the book. Well, no, it doesn't quite work that way. And it's all about when you go to get out of your comfort zone, you're going to be faced with what psychologists term the fear zone. And you're going to always be faced with this. And so we want to learn how to navigate that so that it is the least path of pain and resistance so that you can get where you want to go faster and in the shortest amount of time.
This is amazing. I'm excited to read the book myself. I haven't yet read it, but I am definitely going to. Now, who do you see kind of as the audience? Who can your book help?
Yeah, it is obviously every woman in Women's Speaker Association, because they are high achievers. They are more than likely entrepreneurs, because it's really geared toward that woman professional, entrepreneur, high achiever who is feeling stuck in some area of her life and feeling like she's an imposter, is unclear on how to get out of that cycle. And so that's really who it's for. And it's for the people who enjoy learning through story. I teach these lessons through other women's story. And my hope is that the book will be a guide for women to see where their gremlin messages are hiding so that they can challenge those negative thoughts and really stretch themselves beyond where they think they can go and stretch into who they're meant to be.
I love that you mentioned you're sharing this through other people's stories. And I think that really shows the power of sharing stories, right? The power of seeing what others have gone through, how they've moved forward, what they've accomplished when they didn't think that they could, or even maybe they never even gave any thought to accomplishing what they did accomplish, right? There's so many unknowns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I would love to know where else people can get a hold of you and your book, other than, of course, the WSA bookstore.
Yes, the book, both the Kindle version and the paperback are on Amazon. You can get the paperback and the Kindle also at Barnes and Noble. And you can visit my website as well at levelup4life.coach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.